All right, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Trading Bitcoin with your host Tone Vays, coming to you live still from Miramar Beach, Florida, near Destin, Florida, where Socrates here decided to organize a little event to celebrate the Bitcoin's all-time high. You guys planned this the moment we broke all-time high, and now here we are a month later, and we've doubled the price of Bitcoin, which is kind of hilarious. And some of the people couldn't make it, unfortunately. Hey, a bunch of people came out. Random tweet from yesterday, 2 days ago, and most people drove up from Jacksonville. It's about a 4-hour drive. I got a couple of guys here. Some are still sleeping. And it's, what time is it here? We're still off by an hour on the time zone, which is driving all of us nuts. Everyone here is like, most people here are from Florida, and everyone's confused on their time zones because all the Floridians never go out this far into the panhandle. Anyway, let's go to the charts. We may go shoot some pool later. Maybe we'll keep the live stream going. You guys can hang out with us. We got, can I say your name, first name? Yep. We got Alex right here. He's going to be asking the questions from the live stream. Should I make you a moderator, yeah, Alex? Can you write something in the live chat, and I'll make you a moderator? Okay, got it. Yep, cool. All right, I'm gonna make you a moderator. Add moderator. All right, so keep an eye on the questions, so you can just like interrupt us if there's a good question. Probably want to copy questions out, save them, and like, hey, we got good questions. I see Motorist is there. JC is there. Yeah, I also have a Telegram group for moderators. I'll add you to that later. All right, let's go. Let's go to the charts. All right, I happen to have gold up, and I got Socrates here to, so we're just gonna analyze a bunch of charts. Let me know if you want me to throw any of your indicators on or any other indicators. So I'm looking at gold, and to me, this is setting up for something. Like, I think gold's gonna be an amazing trade for 2021. I would never buy off of a daily candle like this. The weekly candle looks horrendous as well. This is going to be interesting. To me, this is primed to take out this, really get the gold bugs all pissed off with Bitcoin as well. Like, hey, why was my gold going down? And I think it's going to just reverse on a dime and just take out the highs. Also notice how the MRI, and MRI stands for Momentum Reversal Indicator, by the way, guys. Those that have it, it would be in your invite-only scripts. Right there, momentum reversal only in invite. If you search for it, it won't work. You got to be permissioned, of course, so you have to go through my website. Still a very discounted one-time fee. Also give priority to the super chats. So, yes.
Nick has a super chat. He lives in Destin, and he wants to know, is there any way we could meet this week for a meet and greet?
I don't think that's possible because we're leaving tomorrow. But if you live in Destin, come to the house.
Yeah.
Nick, how do you? Well, I don't want to post the address, even though it's kind of, I mean, we're leaving tomorrow. Like,
have him send you a Twitter DM or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick, can you like connect somehow?
On Twitter?
Yeah, just take a.
Telegram?
Yeah, I guess take a screenshot. Like, if you're in Destin, just come watch football with us. Yeah. Speaking of which, one of the games, they should have started by now, no?
It's the first game starts at 1.
Yeah, it's one Eastern, yeah. Right? So it started already. Yeah. So it started 20 minutes ago. Like we're all like so confused being in Florida on a central time zone. It's fucking insane. Oh shit, they're back. Hey guys, we're live streaming.
Come on in, welcome.
Come on in. Yeah, if you're in Destin, stop by. We're on. I can tell people the road we're on. I guess. What road are we on? Oh yeah, we're live. It's all good, man. Yeah, we're gonna barbecue in a bit. What street are we on? Yeah, so we're in Miramar Beach. We're on Sand Trap Road. So if you live an hour away, sure you'll be able to find us. We're on Sand Trap Road. I gave the road away. on Central. We're leaving tomorrow, so it's
If anybody can get here in time,
yeah. So morning. All right. So let's move on. Let's move on from gold. I think we're gonna take out the slow. TA, are we still gonna get the TV to work?
No.
How about we use the Microsoft solution? Unplug it from the outlet and.
Yeah, I did just pull. I pulled
okay.
the router out and restarted it all.
Okay.
It's not working. I don't know what it is.
Oh, it's gonna suck. All right. Anyway.
We'll fix it later.
So I still think that we're gonna take out the slow and probably then like slingshot to the upside. Let's hope Armstrong doesn't sue me for saying that. These guys are laughing from a prior conversation, but it just happened to be gold up there. So, so you guys sticking around today? You guys heading out?
I think we're gonna go home.
You're gonna go home? So you're probably gonna get going right now.
Oh, we came to
Little
say
bit.
thanks and bye, and you know.
All right, awesome. So Bitcoin, let's go to Bitcoin.
Let's do it. All right. Funding rates are pretty.
Look, I'm gonna start with my bread and butter chart right here. This is the daily chart. I always draw my arrows from the candle where I decide to do it. And this green arrow was right on the money. I purposely chose this day, January 10th. If you go back to these videos from Jan 5, Jan 6, you will hear me talk about the top coming in on January 10th, because that was going to be the potential second consecutive MRI top. We just hit it. We are in the pullback. Technically, the top came on candle number 7. So we are already dropping. How big is this drop going to be? I think we're only going to go to about 35. In 1 to 4 candles, this is probably the first candle of the big drop. And we go down from there. And then I still think we can make a higher high. But this is our MRI daily top that I mentioned a week ago that is possible to happen. We have other oscillators. We can look at the funding rate. And the funding rate is cooling off a little bit, but it really needs to reset back to 0 before we can tackle one more swing high. Do you want me to pull up any other indicators?
yeah, I guess I would be taking a look at MSR myself here to get
What
a
is
feel.
this?
Not sure.
Oh, moving averages. That's right. I just
Yeah,
can't
if we
see
just
them
had
because it's so
some
low.
50 and 200 EMAs, that would be
Right. So this is the daily. So I have the 50, the 128, and the 200.
perfect. Could you throw that on the 1 hour chart for me?
The 1 hour is here. You need moving averages.
Yeah, that'd help.
I have your
Perfect.
MSR we can open, and
That
let me
will be even better.
get the moving averages up. This is going to be in.
That'll actually have moving averages in it. So,
Also, you don't need the
Yeah.
other moving averages. Okay, so here you go.
so this would be my buy area here.
So you just missed it.
Well, it might still be coming down.
Right,
I
but
don't
you
have
missed
orders
it so far.
Right. Yeah. And I don't have orders there myself right now. I am still long and holding. And this is where I'm looking to pay very, very close attention for when I want to start aggressively taking profit. And as long as it's holding that 3,600 area around where the 200 EMA would be on the 1 hour, then it's still looking very, very strong to me. The area where I am not wanting us to fall below is the 33,000. If it falls below that and closes even an hourly candle below 33, that's going to be a major sign to me to start aggressively taking profit. But as it stands,
down here, man.
right. So, and yeah, I mean, I'm in from like 9K here. So holding through as long as I can, as long as the trend is moving in my favor. And this right now is just a normal little dip for me that would be a buying opportunity as long as it can hold above 35. And if that area was to give, that's where I'm going to really be looking
What
at.
moving average is this?
That'd be the 50 EMA.
Okay, so look how perfectly that supported for a minute, and then broke, and then back tested within 2 hours.
Absolutely.
And now it's flipping over.
Now
So this is a bad sign.
Let's just scroll over to the left to see the last time that happened. We had great support from the 50 EMA.
Right there.
And then we
It
broke
didn't
down.
last long.
We resisted the 50, but the 200 supported. So that's where I really
That's
look
the
for
200.
Yep. That's where I really look for a perfected buy setup, is when that 50 gives, I look for this 200 to hold. And if the 200 doesn't hold, then the trend is in very big danger of reversing for me.
I did want to put this out there for you guys, because I know Tone likes to go straight to the BitMEX funding rate. The BitMEX funding rate is important, but now that the open interest on BitMEX is about 600 million a day, I think you need to start looking at Bybit's funding rate, because they're at like almost 900 to $1 billion in open interest a day. And so sometimes
I need to switch it. I'm just like too busy and too stupid to do it myself. So I have to get my developers on it.
Oh yeah, especially for the trading view, because there's no Bybit indicator for funding rate.
So for me, that is a really good question, and something that I would agree that I've always wanted to use the biggest volume exchange
you need to create a joint one.
Yes.
And that's where, for me, it's taken me
figure out how to get the game up. Austin,
it's taken me
give it a shot.
A couple of
years.
There
was another remote somewhere which we can't find.
So it's taken me a couple of years of following the BitMEX funding rate on a daily basis to get a really good feel for the levels that it can get to based on the calculations that it uses for funding, because every exchange uses different calculations for funding. And even if Bybit does have maybe 20% more open interest or volume, that's not quite enough for me to abandon what I've grown to trust over years. If Bybit gets to the point where it's 2 or 3 or 4x as much open interest as BitMEX, now it's going to be time for me to kind of start back over from scratch, because I really don't trust the funding metrics from any other exchange in the way that I do from BitMEX, just because I have used those over years. And that's what I'm going to continue to use myself. And as Tone was looking at the funding on the daily, I'm more looking at the 8-hour funding rates, and the 8-hour did recently reset to 0. So for me, the funding is in a comfortable spot. And I'm still very open to the idea that I'm missing out on a lot by not adding in the Bybit.
Yeah, because BitMEX right now is pretty high for the funding rate, even in the 2-hour funding and in the next 10-hour funding. It favors the bears pretty heavy. It's almost at 0.1. But on the 8-hour, on BitMEX, but on Bybit, the funding rate's just flat. It's just normal.
That's very interesting.
It's very. I think what it is, if I had to guess, I think more. It kind of goes back to, I think the Asia market dominates BitMEX more, and I think Bybit has turned into more of the US and Europe markets, and so I think that's where you see the.
And you're thinking that US is just more bullish? Like, why would then BitMEX be
in back that way? Maybe it's the other way around, right, or something.
It's definitely interesting, and it is very weird, and this is where I can only trust BitMEX, the BitMEX data that I've seen. When I see it so diverged, I just got to go with what I'm seeing from BitMEX.
Sure.
And the number one most important thing to me is the premium in the futures. As long as the 6-month expiration, a premium in the future with 6 months until expiration is like 3% or less, that is completely healthy. And even when we see a big spike in funding rates, if there isn't any spike in the premium in futures, I'm pretty much it's like 20% is important to me. And the BitMEX is still the number one exchange for trading futures. And that's I guess another reason why I trust those numbers, or just still use them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, guys. So from a daily look, so here's the hourly. I agree with So on the hourly. We can't go below 33,000. I think we are gonna go into that $35,000 range, and the low should come in the first half of next week. So GBTC is gonna take a hit. If you did not get out of GBTC, and it was hard to get out of GBTC because of the low premium, I just have a bunch of more money in my trading account. I will be buying this dip, and then I'll be fully invested. So I will be looking to buy this dip. Unfortunately, didn't get a chance to exit like I wanted, because like the premium just messed me up, and that's fine. I'll just buy the dip. I still think we are going higher based on my daily look. I do not see this MRI top as a end to the bull run. I see this as a 1 to 4 candle correction to then go and make new highs. Now I see that now. You're supposed to reevaluate this. If this goes into the 5th day of pullback, it'll be different. It can also pull back tomorrow all the way down to 25K. And we can still have a 4 candle pullback, even though it falls all the way down to here. Mm-hmm. So We are overextended on moving averages. This is the daily 50-period moving average. That's the 128. That's the 200. And we haven't touched those in a long time since we consolidated here back at the $10,000 area. So we're due for a pullback. I just have a feeling it's going to go higher first before a real pullback occurs. But this is, you can't assume anything. You can't assume that we're only going to fall to 35 and buy it. We're watching it day by day. This was the time to exit due to the MRI. I've been talking about it all week, and then we reevaluate with every candle.
And one other thing to take a look at that's jumping out is it looks like we might be retesting a 0.382 fib. If we drew a fib off this last leg.
Oh, you want to draw a little fib from here?
Yep.
I don't normally draw fibs like that, but sure.
And that's something I picked up from Mr. Swanee. He calls this the shallow fib, and I find this to be a very effective way to identify where dips should find support before they really get in danger of becoming reversals.
So I'm doing it from this tip to that tip.
Yep. So that 0.618 is going to be the critical fib for the trend as far as I'm concerned.
That's 33.
Yep. So we're seeing a lot line up there. As long as that's holding, the whole structure's intact for me. Whereas, and then
so I could actually lower my arrows a little bit.
Just a little bit potentially. And then that buy zone, again, for the fibs is going to be the 0.618 to the 0.382. So a 33,200 up to 36,500 is going to be a buy zone from the fibs. And that's also what I'm seeing from MSR, which is why I've really grown to like this shallow fib so much, is because it will line up with the moving average support on the timeframes I like to trade.
And I would love to see like the GBTC funding rate at this point. I would love to see that get crushed even more down into the teens. Well, it's already in the teens, down into the single digits. And then we can be able to pick this up at about 35 bucks with a low funding rate. So here is the reentry for me on GBTC around $33, $34, which means Bitcoin could drop down to 31K.
I mean, last Sunday we got our dip. Sundays have kind of been the dip day for some reason. Maybe it'll continue.
I really do think that the market's going to start to really punish the people who are only willing to trade traditional market hours. Now that some of the Main Street finance guys are moving into the space, and they're just used to taking Fridays off and then showing up on Monday to get back to work. And Bitcoin or any market really is going to find a way to punish people any way that they can. And for the big dips to occur at Sunday at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then to get the spike that occurs right as those guys show up to their office to be all in a bit of a panic and not really knowing what to do. That's a pattern I have started to notice, is that the big moves that everybody's waiting for has been occurring late Sunday, right before guys, maybe when China's starting to wake up and well before Wall Street's starting to get to work. Best opportunities are for those that are really gonna, dedicate their full time and effort to this. And that's, I think, a pattern to definitely keep a close eye on.
All right, now I do see another super chat from, looks like Sandsnake. He's been, now keep in mind, I am now looking, I'm gonna lower this line right here. It's not, once we break this area, if Bitcoin breaks 41,150, this shit is going to at least 45, if not 60 at this point. And the later in the month we break this line, the higher we're gonna go. So if we actually do like a 3 to 4 day proper pullback to 33, that would be a good opportunity for me to buy back in. But if I miss it, I'm gonna go all in once again at 4,100, because now I'm looking at 60.
I couldn't agree more. And my original target over the last couple of weeks has been 44K by early this week. And that was not with a dip like this where we're seeing below the 50 moving average on that 1 hour. Now that we're getting a dip, if it can hold it and hold a good correction, now I'm going to be expecting it to have more energy to go ahead and move through that 40 through 44K area. So if this can hold that 36 price, I would be expecting the higher prices as a result of that good correction.
Right. And that's an important point. The bigger this correction is, the higher our targets would be. Because if the correction is over and we are breaking 41,000 on Monday or Tuesday, my target will only be 45 to 47, 48. It's not going to be 60.
Agreed.
My target is only going to be in the 60s if this is a proper bigger correction. And if we go for full, cycle into an MRI buy opportunity, then my target could be even higher than 60. So the bigger this correction off the double MRI top, the higher my target becomes, because 2021 is going to be insane. And we can go back to talking politics. I think there's going to be some major military conflicts in Washington between now, if it hasn't started yet. People are, I don't know, rumors, Trump's. And so what the hell is the Insurrection Act?
The Insurrection Act is I'm pretty sure it just allows Trump to claim that the Constitution we're having a constitutional crisis, and that basically through that power, they can almost recreate a new election and do it all over again, kind of thing. It enables a lot of different possibilities for him to stay in office, essentially.
In the meantime, Wikileaks just dumped an entire file of Clinton's emails, which is not loading on my laptop right now. No. So their servers might be overloaded, or Amazon has taken them down the way they've taken down Parler. I also tried to create my username on Gab, and someone already took that username. So I will not use social media unless I can get my actual username of Tone Vays. If there are any platforms that you guys feel I should be on and I'm not on, if you want to reserve Tone Vays for me and give it to me, I'm happy to take it over one day. That's how I ended up with Twitch and some of the other ones. I created my username on some platforms this morning. That's what I did. I already have it on Parler, but may not be able to use Parler. Oh, there it is. There's the file of Clinton's emails. It just loaded up, but that's a big, it's not that big.
It goes in, you can go through.
Do they actually show it if I click on one of these?
It'll show you the PDF, yeah.
Click there's no year on this. February.
If you open them up, they'll have the years.
Okay.
So just click on
August release. Jesus.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Do I dare open this? I don't want my channel banned, but anyway.
Well, it's all unclassified at least, so.
All right. So anyway, so there it is. Just go and read Clinton's emails. And if this is enough for Trump to just arrest the entire Clinton family, if there is enough criminal behavior shown in those emails, he needs to do it. Again, we're getting a little political here, and most people in this house are on the same side of politics. I'm all about, look, I'm not happy if Trump is going to use the military to stay in office. No one should be happy about that. I don't want a dictator. But at the same time, if Trump has evidence and these corrupt Democrats and Republicans, arrest them, throw them into solitary confinement, and throw away the key for all the shit they've been doing with COVID by putting us in solitary confinement. So if there is evidence, and if WikiLeaks can help you get the evidence, if there is anything criminal in here that Trump can arrest Hillary and the rest of the Clintons on, throw them in fucking prison. That's how I see it. But show the evidence to do it. I don't want him taking power by force, but I do want him to arrest every single politician that has evidence of fraud, which is 99% of politicians. The only reason to go into politics is to break the rules you create. So if the more politicians Trump can put in prison for legit reasons in his last 10 days in office, he needs to do it. In fact, he should have probably done it in the last 12 months. Still got 10 days. You still got 10 days to throw the Clintons in prison and throw away the key.
So we do have some.
And if he does, the rest of them will run scared.
So Tone, can we address Dan Larimer finally leaving EOS?
Oh, Larimer. Yeah. Larimer has left another project to the community. EOS. I don't know what that word is. EOS Dan Larimer has left another project to the community. This is what he does. We've been talking about this since before Steemit. When he started Steemit, he's going to leave Steemit to the community and start another scam. And when that happened, people are like, oh, I can't wait. Dan Larimer makes me so much money from the scams. So now Dan Larimer has left Block One to the community. No one uses EOS. No one has ever used EOS. Now that Larimer is gone, this is how all of these blockchains are. This is why they are all scams. Because eventually the creator leaves and no one manages the shitcoin, and it slowly dies, and they say, oh, we tried. I became a billionaire by selling you the shitcoin. We tried to make it work. The community didn't want it. He will start another scam. He will make another $1 billion. And you idiots that bought into Block One, do you guys realize how much Bitcoin Block One has because of all the stupid fools that gave him the Bitcoin?
And now they're going to be one of the biggest
Look at
Bitcoin
this.
miners. Because
Block One holds 140,000 Bitcoin. This is from all of the morons that gave their Bitcoin to Dan Larimer, who has now left the project. They are now, so this centralized shit project is now going to be one of the biggest Bitcoin miners because people are too stupid to realize what Block One actually was from the start. And this is the end result. This is why I'm going to stop talking about these shit coins as of February. I'm done with it because they're all garbage. They are all garbage. All of them. Everyone is really high on the new, what's that latest scam? Theta? There it is. Here's one more total scam. It has to be by default. This is how these things are. It's the way it is. And the sooner you realize it, look, everyone realizes it eventually. Whether you make a lot of money and then you realize, you lose a lot of money and then you realize, or you just say, let the market decide, and eventually market decides for Bitcoin and against all of this other garbage. Cardano will be the same way. Eventually it will be left to the community, and no one in the community is going to give a shit about continuing to promote it. But Hoskinson may be around for a while with Cardano. What's his name? Until Jeb McCaleb gets arrested, he'll keep promoting Stellar. Again, another scam.
What the heck is this wrapped Bitcoin?
Oh, you don't want to know.
Oh, you don't know about wrapped Bitcoin?
No,
you don't want to know.
All right, I don't want to know. I don't.
You really don't want to know.
I just can't believe it's 14th market
And
cap.
it counts against us on our Bitcoin dominance on the
Yeah,
calculation
of course,
too.
yeah.
So-
it's custodial Bitcoin. They
Yeah,
have, they have a counterpart.
I'll try to explain it real quick. Do you understand how DeFi works? How yield farming works? Sorry.
I've heard the theory about how
All
it
right,
should
so
work.
here's how yield farming works. Some idiot comes up with a copied version of a code, names it some kind of food.
Sushi?
Biscuits is probably next.
Biscuits and gravy. there you
Yeah,
go.
biscuits and gravy is perfect. So some guy comes up with biscuits and gravy name, copies a bunch of code, and then he says, I have the latest and greatest yield farming project. So if you lock up your Ethereum on our smart contract through Uniswap or some other middleman garbage, you lock up your Ethereum because there's nothing else to do with your Ethereum. It's not like you're going to use it for transactions. So you lock it up, and the more you lock it up, like a CD, you lock it up, and they pay you interest in biscuits and gravy coin. The only purpose of biscuits and gravy coin is for you to sell it to the greater fool. So hey, if you lock up, $1,000 worth of Ethereum, you will earn interest in my biscuits and gravy coin. I will, of course, keep half of it or more.
You'll keep the gravy. And
Right.
Give me the biscuits.
Right. Now, you're going to earn it, and then some idiot will buy it from you, and you make money. And I, of course, make a lot more money because I have the majority of it that I can dump on the market. But the point is, well, what are you going to do with your Ethereum? Just lock it up and let me pay you my monopoly money. And then some idiot said, well, a lot of people don't have Ethereum, or some smart guy said. Yeah. And he's like, hey, I'm going to allow people to lock up their Bitcoin in a smart contract through like Uniswap or some other middleman garbage. So if you have Bitcoin, but you want to earn a yield on your Bitcoin, lock up your Bitcoin and I will pay you a yield on your Bitcoin in my created monopoly money, like biscuits and gravy. So wrapped Bitcoin are the idiots with Bitcoin that decided to wrap them in a smart contract in order to earn some yield farm scam that they would sell on some exchange. Now, of course, wrapped Bitcoin could get hacked, and several wrapped Bitcoin projects have been bricked. So no one can get to the Bitcoin, so it's just gone. And not to mention that the guys that created the wrapped Bitcoin smart contract can always just take all of your wrapped Bitcoin, because that's how smart contracts work.
It's more decentralized.
There's your.
I think I know what Dan Larimer is going to work on next.
Yeah.
You know, the whole sushi coin thing was ridiculous. The guy was called the sushi chef.
Chef,
No one
Yeah,
knew
the
who
chef.
it was.
Yeah.
He ran off with the sushi
Yeah.
coin.
Yeah.
And then now the price is going up again for some reason. No one really knows why, because this guy's gone.
I'll tell you what.
Stop hoping it or whatever.
It's just history repeats itself time and time and time again. As much as you don't think it will, 2 years later, history will be repeating itself. And last time, like the value propositions were way better. Like I was much more ready to buy into some of the alt projects in
Shit. Hey, Mark,
2017
you
than
give me a
I
salad?
am into some of these DeFi stuff that clearly
Yes,
don't
sir.
make sense when they're promising these gains that are just to buy into this, you have got to be.
And this is why we're drinking at noon.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
we've been cooking up some biscuits and gravy the last couple of days, and that's a Colorado specialty. It's been a big hit.
Right. So this is basically how shitcoins work. I mean, I can go through every one of them and explain why, but like it's anyway, it's lost cause. Let's go back to Bitcoin. Yeah. So back to the hourly chart. So I don't like this hourly chart right now. I still see it as going lower. We're now back below 38,000. I fully see us hitting the 200 hourly moving average. That's only at 36, and it's rising still fairly quickly. Will this support line from the MRI hold? We will see. I would like for it to hold. See, I don't even know what I want. I kind of want it to reset at 33.
Yeah, I'd be totally fine with it.
But on a wick, not on a close.
Yes, that's where if we do start to close even an hourly below 33, I'm starting to think that 26 is around the corner, which I'm fine for whatever happens at this point. But I do think I'm kind of liking what we're seeing on that hourly candle, how that last candle had a little wick. If you want to go back to that hourly, we got a nice little wick off that last candle, and now we're on an inside bar. This current candle, the open, the high, and the low are currently inside that last bar, and we've got 10 minutes till close. So if we can close this 1 hour inside that prior bar, I would look for the 200 to keep accelerating up as we get some consolidation candles as supports moving into it, and that would be perfect.
We're also probably going to back test the 50 period one more time. So it could be similar to this with a fake breakout. See, this breakdown was a double bottom on the close, but clearly probably some no, see, this would have been tricky because this is not divergence. So this would have been rough a little bit, but you can see how the low was significantly higher. So this is what you want. This was the reset swing low into buying zone, and then the 200 held the entire way through. So if we can swing into 33, 34, come back up and then hold the close. We may not hold the 200 close. It would be nice, but if we can swing down into 33,000, but because today is Sunday, this makes it kind of tricky.
And this is where I agree with what you're saying there with it being Sunday, but recently over the last couple months, I've started to notice some different patterns where these big weird moves tend to be coming on Sunday late when it's very hard to capitalize on. So for that wick to go down to 33 at midnight tonight, our time, and then to be back at 38 by the time we wake up, this is something that's I'm starting to see that sort of pattern, and I do think this could be a good time for that action. A low liquidity move that is hard to capitalize on that good price that everybody's wanting. this could be a good time for it.
Yeah, this morning was rough to wake up. I'm so used to waking up to a brand new Bitcoin all-time high. I've been doing it for like almost a full month now. Every morning there's a new Bitcoin all-time high, and today that was broken. Like I looked at my phone when I woke up. It was like my first disappointing morning of like the last 2 weeks. I don't know how everybody else felt in this house.
I feel like
every morning I look at my phone, I'm like, new all-time high while I was sleeping. But today, that's the first day that didn't happen.
I thought we were going to get it last night. Last night when we were
It looked like it was ready to break out. Like last night, we were back about 41K.
I'm the most disappointed here because as soon as a couple of our other friends walked in, I remembered that I lost a $50 bet last night around midnight. I said I had $50 that Bitcoin would get to a new all-time high in the next 18 hours. And I wake up to a lost $50 bet.
Yeah, there's been a lot of betting going on here.
And Mark didn't even remember the bet,
Which is not the first time this weekend he hasn't remembered a bet.
So everyone's asking. Let's put some context on how dumb the Tether FUD is.
Oh, the Tether. Okay, so someone sent me like this big Twitter thread about Tether shit. Hold on, let me find it. Who sent it to me? I don't even know what medium I get this shit sent on. Someone's like, hey, can you address the Tether part? Oh, also, people asked me to address the yearly MRI top on the S&P, which I never really, I haven't covered in a while. We had
that's interesting.
Right. So on a monthly scale, we're coming up. Next month is actually a monthly MRI top on the S&P. And I remember looking at the 6-month chart a while back.
Quarterly is a really good one
the
too.
6 month is the one that I really wanted to pay attention to. The next 6 month MRI top could be huge. So here's the 6 month candles, and there was a major top in 2000. There was on a single top here, and once this is the one I'm looking for. We got a few more years till the next president is being reelected. That's going to be the ultimate top. So it's interesting. If I don't believe Trump will remain in office, but if he does, stock market could really rally for the next 3-4 years. And after that, it will be interesting. But technically, this candle started. So how many years is that? We have 6 candles to go, and that's perfect. It's 3 more years. So these are 6 month candles.
And something that's interesting here jumping out at me is the channel you have drawn, I'm sure looks really good on lower time frames.
Yes.
But sometimes on the
Not on
time
this.
frame, I kind of wonder if that's what I'd be preferring to use since it's
on the larger time frame.
Yeah, we'd have.
Yeah,
that
let me go to the
low
monthly
connected to that
chart.
one.
See, it's way better on a monthly chart, but still not great. So why do I have that channel drawn
Probably
that
the
way?
weekly.
It's gotta.
Maybe not.
It could have also been adjusted.
Probably something happened, but this is a very important channel to me, and something I talk about a lot is if you break through the top end of a channel, a bull channel, you break through the top end, that's where you look for the acceleration of a new sort of phase or a higher rate of return over a similar amount of time. So that's what I'm going to be paying close attention to. If we as we approach the top of that channel, I would expect it to be a resistance, but if it isn't, then that's when we can do something like right there. If we beautiful. If you could scroll back a little, I just saw a good example of what I was talking about. So like right here, you kind of see how we have that channel, and then once it breaks through the top of it, explodes.
Boom. Yep.
So that will be something to pay attention to. And I do think that me, as well as many others, were viewing a Democratic election as bearish for the stock market, so that when Trump lost, or it was very, still being contended, there's a lot of people selling because they were betting on Trump to win and betting on the stock market to go up when he wins. And if it was able to sustain that selling pressure, that's where I think that it could actually be in a good spot fundamentally to accelerate when a lot of people are on the wrong side.
Oh, I found it. I found that Tether thread, which we're going to look at in a minute. And before I do that, so let's go back to the annual top. And to me, first of all, the markets did crash this year. They just rebounded quickly.
Yeah. I mean, that's
and it happened early in the year. So paying attention to the MRI top early in the year and being cautious you could have used the MRI to get out of the market. Getting back in the market would have been a little scary at the bottom of COVID, but some people certainly did. Now, I never ever trade the candle following an MRI top. Since it's an annual, it's a very different case. But I would still be careful on current candle. And this is what I mean about the Bitcoin monthly chart.
And wait, before you move it away, I got a question for you. That would you consider that a one candle correction since we had that big crash in the 9?
I actually would, because of a year is a long time.
Right.
I actually would consider this like, for example, even if we go straight higher into the next MRI top, I would still consider this to have been a very useful tool.
Oh, for sure.
To help you early in the year.
Absolutely. And I do think that that's a 9 where I wouldn't be expecting another correction. I think that correction happened, especially because it took out like the last 3 years lows.
3 years, right. It took out the low for the last 3 years.
And then closed it at a high.
Exactly.
So that's a perfect correction for me.
It is.
In the middle
it's
of a
not
trend.
like ideal, but it served the most minimum requirements for being useful as an indicator.
Oh, well, absolutely. But what I'm thinking here is, is this ideal for more upside? And I think that even though it's a 9,
I think it's too early to tell. I mean, it is a reversal candle, but like I like these candles at the bottom, not at the top. At the moment, I would just almost ignore this and use lower level timeframes, because everything that this could have told you, it kind of already did. I would wait for, I mean, it's pretty bullish right now, but I would just go to lower level timeframes. I would pay attention to the 6 month, and the 6 month is very bullish, and it's been historically accurate. But the monthly is calling for a correction next month.
Okay.
So I would be, I still think the market is bullish for the next 4 years, but probably bearish as of next month.
Okay, I like that.
So I would take that seriously. And on a weekly scale, scale this back a little. It's not in the way. And on a weekly scale, we're good. Like next week, if we tick higher, we're gonna go right into a second MRI top. So I'm bullish weekly, bearish next month.
I like it. And that 12 month, just one more time.
Right. And also keep in mind, sorry guys, if this goes up for like 8 more candles, your double weekly MRI top will be in line with the monthly MRI top late next month.
Beautiful.
So they will be in line, the weekly topping and the monthly topping.
And right probably at the top of the channel. If
and
that
right
does happen,
and right under $4,000.
Yeah.
Or right around 4K.
So yeah, it's just that 12-month close is very bullish. I mean, that's why I was wondering if you thought the correction, if that does count as a one candle, and I agree. And I was glad that you that you agreed as well. But to dip all the way down below a 3-year low and then to close significantly above, it wasn't just a little, it closed significantly above.
Right, but here's the thing. If you didn't buy at any point last year, I wouldn't be rushing into the market right now.
Not necessarily rushing into the market, but am looking to take max exposure on the long signals that I get. So I am thinking that this is a good spot to be fully exposed. If we do accelerate, I'm going to be in a good position.
I know.
If not,
and
I'm going to take my loss.
That's true. Like if you would have gotten in even a few weeks ago, because now what I just said about the weekly and the monthly, you still have some upside, but it's very limited. I think next month, and who knows what's going to happen in 10 days. But let's just peek at Bitcoin one last time. Yeah, see, this is not a good.
I like that close. We close inside bar, open high low, close inside the last candle.
I'm still
with
bearish
a good
here.
wick. I think we're going to retest.
We could rally to retest the moving average, but I don't see us breaking this green line in the next 24 hours.
No, not in the next 24, but I do think that this is I'm liking the action we're seeing from 37. When you just melt right through that 200, that area of support, that's when I get worried about a big move. Whereas this just is still looking like a nice little correction that's starting to lose its vigor as it approaches a big area of support.
Tether. So here we go with the Tether. Wasn't this like a big thread or something? What am I looking at here? Where's the thread? Yeah, there's supposed to be a thread. I don't see a thread. I see one tweet.
In an arrow.
There's an arrow, but it doesn't take you anywhere. So I don't know.
Maybe
I saw the thread earlier. I don't know what happened.
Is that how weak the FUD's getting? Just because nobody reads anyways. If there is a thread, nobody reads it.
No, I saw a thread earlier, but like, where's the thread? This thread will convert, but where the fuck is the thread?
Like, Tony, you've always nailed this Tether fund. It's at the end of the day, if they want to keep printing unbacked Tether, they're just digging Bitfinex is digging themselves into a hole.
But there's absolutely no evidence that the Tether is unbacked.
Right.
Like, look, there's no evidence that the Tether is fully backed either, but there's no evidence that it's not backed. You just don't know. Yeah. And anyone that assumes one way or another is just, needs an excuse. And I don't even understand, like, why is this bothering you so much? Do you hate
for Bitcoin?
Well, like here's the other thing. Everyone is like, Tether is pumping the price of Bitcoin up. Are you upset that you don't have any Bitcoin and this is bothering you? And also, what do you think happens if Tether implodes? The price of Bitcoin will skyrocket.
Yeah, because where are they going to go? They're not going to be able to ACH back into their bank accounts. They're going to have to quickly buy and get off the exchange. It's very simple. It's a run on the bank, right? And the best asset is Bitcoin.
But I'm still trying to figure out where the thread is.
It doesn't have to be Bitcoin. It could, idiots could go buy the other shitcoins if they want. I think they will just funnel out then, right?
Oh, I know why. The account's been restricted. The guy who posted this looks like he got banned from Twitter, or he blocked me. I don't know.
And what you're just talking about there, we do have a recent proof of concept of that. For
okay. It's been restricted because, here we go. Found the thread. Maybe. No.
So for anybody that remembers the descending triangle, Bitcoin in 2018, as we were consolidating between like 9K and 6K, there was a pump out of nowhere where the price went from 6K up to like 7.5, but it only happened on USDT exchanges when the Kraken USDT exchange rate went to like 0.84. So absolutely, we've already seen proof that if Tether does start to melt down, that the price of Bitcoin could move in such a sharp way that that would potentially be the biggest move that we could see in Bitcoin, is if people really do get flooded out of their Tether. And I think the biggest thing that people are concerned about is a price of Bitcoin that is not making economical sense due to some funny money buying and pushing it up there. And that is absolutely not what I think. The last that I looked into it, I felt like they had very good financials, and the backing was better than any bank in America. And maybe it's not one-to-one, but I am not afraid of the reserves myself based on how much money Bitfinex is making and the amount of transactions that have been coming in and out of Tether. I'm not concerned about that having anything negative impact on the price.
Here's my view. If the Tether problem bothers you, don't hold any Tether.
For sure.
I remember the other day, someone wanted to, buy one of my videos, and the person asked me, "Do you accept Tether?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm like, "It's a credit card, PayPal, or Bitcoin," and no one pays in Bitcoin. I'm not gonna. They're like, "Well, don't you have like an exchange account?" I'm like, "No, I'm not gonna hold Tether. Like, I'm not taking on your Tether liability."
I couldn't agree more, and that is something that in the bear market, if you're trading and you're actively trying to, hedge or protect yourself against the big bear runs. That was a main thing that I was not going to do, is just sit in Tether throughout a bear market, because when these things really collapse, it's in the big bear markets, in my opinion, in my experience. Where I'm most afraid of holding Tether is going to be when the market is in a very afraid, capitulatory environment. So I am not going to be holding Tether in bear markets to protect myself from the downside of Bitcoin. I'm only going to be putting that into USD, and therefore I couldn't agree more that if you're really worried about Tether, just don't hold any.
For real. Jamie has a really good question. I didn't know about this. The UK has banned leverage trading for Bitcoin for retail customers. Is this bullish for Bitcoin, because in the UK you will only be able to do spot instead of derivatives?
It's not bullish or bearish, but it could add a little more stability to the price of Bitcoin. The more people trade Bitcoin spot versus futures, the more stability it has. Because if 90% of all trading is in the futures market, what you have is really smart players that have the ability to manipulate the spot market in order to force the futures market into whatever they like. But if most of the trading takes place in spot, then it's really hard to manipulate the futures market.
So let me ask you this. I think it's a really good question. Do you think that having the ability to short makes a more efficient market?
Oh, of course. 100%.
So then if there's no leverage available for people to short in Europe, is that going to make it a less efficient market?
Yes, correct. But you don't need necessarily leverage to short. I mean, you should, it's the ability to borrow other people's shares to short. Now, what people have to keep in mind is, and this is the big argument I have with Max Kaiser all the time, and a lot of other people that, again, just like the Tether problem, like I don't know why Tether bothers people so much and it just triggers them. I mean, yes, in Bitcoin bear markets, there will be less Tether printed because less Tether is wanted. In a bull market, more Tether is wanted. But when it comes to shorting, this whole concept of naked shorting, so shorts don't take down markets. So in a normal market, like if you want to say Tesla, for example, Tesla has a certain amount of shares out there. Let's use round numbers. Tesla has 1 billion shares out in the market. Okay, that sound about right?
That's fair.
All right.
It's probably more than that now.
Tesla has 1 billion shares out in the market. So in an environment where there's shorting is elite, doesn't exist, a billion shares of Tesla are, how many shares of Tesla?
They have actually 868.
Yes.
868 million. So you're really close.
Oh, wow, it's
You're
close.
really
Wow.
close, yeah.
Okay. So 1 billion Tesla shares in circulation. If everyone is long those shares, you have one market that's long. Now, by allowing people to lend their Tesla shares to those that want to short, and they pay you an interest on borrowing those Tesla shares. Let's say, that was a crazy play, and the game's tied. So now let's say out of those billion, there are enough crazy people that want to short Tesla. So all the people borrow 500 million shares of Tesla to short it. But in order for you to short 500 million shares of Tesla, you need people on the other side of that trade to go long Tesla. So now it's not really a billion shares of speculation in Tesla long. Now it's 1.5 billion shares long, 500 million shares short. You actually increase the number of long positions. And the reason why shorts are so necessary for an efficient market is because when Tesla starts to crash, because everything eventually crashes, those short sellers take their profit stabilizing the collapse.
They're buying back in.
Which is why it is so fucking dumb. Whenever a stock starts to fall, the government bans shorts because in order to short, someone else has to go long, and now the short guy can prevent a catastrophic fall because he's going to buy back to take his profit. So putting on these bans not to short a stock is ridiculous.
Right, and you're right. When it comes to just spot longing and spot shorting,
yes,
those dynamics are 100% correct. Where I'm still trying to figure out myself is like, it's for the futures market in gold, right? The banks, JP Morgan can go down to the Fed and lend and borrow money, and then they can go to the gold futures market and they can go and create the new gold contracts and then leverage them up and then dump them.
Well,
pseudo.
But that's a double-edged sword. But why? Why would they do that? Like, what is stopping Goldman Sachs from doing the opposite, borrowing money and going long against JP Morgan?
Well, because JP Morgan's sitting on for silver, for example, they have the biggest physical supply. So
who cares?
They can control.
But who cares? There's no spot market in silver. The price discovery is in the futures market.
Right.
This is why I think it's crazy. Why is a bank like, oh, they're suppressing the price of gold? Why would they? They make more money by people FOMOing into gold. Like the JP Morgan wants the price of gold and silver to rise because then all these like gold bugs are rushing in to buy it.
Because if the banks allow gold to get out of hand, then it discredits their central banking policy.
No, it doesn't. They don't care.
You don't think so?
No.
I mean,
I think the government probably does, but the banks, they just care about making money.
Well, yeah, exactly. The government they use the banks to help suppress it, to keep it all, to make the inflation numbers look better.
Again, this is
isn't that the whole point?
I think that's the bullshit all of the gold promoters have been saying for the last 30 years because they've been so wrong on the price of gold because gold's kind of useless. And they're just coming up with all kinds of excuses, as to why gold is not $1 billion announced by now.
So help me understand what you brought up originally. So there's no leverage trading in Europe moving forward, but would they be able to short if they had equal margin to the position size?
Right,
That they had
so
open?
you could do spot shorting because you could still go borrow, but it's doing the derivatives.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I was just reading the article, the ban isn't like, you could still just go, if you're a UK citizen, you can just use a VPN and still go get access to derivatives exchange. They're just not going to allow like a BitMEX or a derivatives exchange to live in London and serve customers in the UK and stuff like that. Like,
So let me ask you this, Tone. You agree, I agree with you that shorting makes for a more efficient market. Do you think that high leverage makes for a less efficient market? If there's too many people on too much leverage that just get too quickly liquidated, is that making a less efficient market?
Not necessarily. I think, like, for example, trading on something like BitMEX or Bybit, I mean, these are zero sum. As long as there's no manipulation on that exchange. Manipulation, I don't mean the guy with the bigger stack.
Right.
I mean, as long as the exchange is being run honestly. The problem is that you can't trust these crypto exchanges. Not that you can trust traditional exchanges, but you can trust traditional exchanges more. So I have no problem with any kind of leverage on these exchanges as long as they are running an honest operation.
Agreed.
The problem is that when there are these rumors of, like, for example, I think the scammiest of them all, and this is going to get me in trouble, is probably FTX. Because they have their own shitcoin, B, they have their own trading desk, and C, they run their own exchange.
And lending market.
Right. So I think the avenues for complete manipulation and trading against your users is high. And if you're just like with the election, not that I want to get political again, but as long as the election is fair, it doesn't necessarily, like, whoever wins, as long as it was fair. The problem is when half the population thinks that it was not fair. Same thing with the futures markets. Like, as long as it's fair, it will only add efficiency. But if it's not fair, it will create inefficiency.
Agreed. Completely agree. Yeah. So that's interesting. I appreciate you bringing that up. It'll be interesting to see if other countries do it.
No one in the futures market for gold wants to take possession of their gold. So they'll just sit there and whine all day long about the price manipulation. But no one really wants to take possession of their gold, so they can't even break the suppression even if they want to, because
and my other argument is like the gold futures market is incredibly efficient because you have the same ability that anyone else has in shorting or going long future gold. The big difference between in gold futures is price discovery for gold,
which is, I think, wrong. Like, I think that seems wrong, right? That literally there's no existing gold spot market, because you can literally just it seems like you can just create more paper gold than there is gold, right? Because gold is a supply and demand game, right? It's store of value. So it's like, if you're creating all this paper gold, it kind of like, it loses the scarcity feeling, right? Almost.
Now, this is why it's really important to understand the difference between gold futures and S&P 500 futures.
Right.
S&P 500 futures is just a bet on an outcome you have no control of, because the S&P 500 index is determined by the trading of spot prices of 500 companies. Well, 480, but close enough. And the futures market of S&P has nothing to do with the price discovery of the S&P. It's just bets on something you have no control of. It's a bet on a coin flip, basically, because you don't know which way the coin's going to land, assuming it's a fair coin. But the gold futures market, like the oil futures market, is actual price discovery. That's where people get confused. All right, I want to wrap this up and watch some football.
Tone, did you see the super chat?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Hey, Tone, do you still use the Bitcoin 12-hour chart? No, I haven't really been using that at all. The last two pullbacks touched the 21 simple moving average. Typical or just a coincidence? I don't know, Socrates. I don't use the 12-hour chart. I don't use the 21 simple day moving average. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I like the 12-hour chart a lot, actually, but I don't use the 21. I check for the 50 EMA as kind of a strong barrier for the market structure. And if the 50 EMA starts giving up on the 12-hour, that really starts to make me worry about a reversal opposed to a correction or longer-term consolidation. So yeah, I like the 12-hour a lot, but I don't use the 21.
You can check what the 21 looks like. I had the 50 up. I have to remember to change that back to a 50. Oops.
Yeah, it's just really strong to me when it's failing to return to the 50 and it's consistently supporting the 21.
Yeah, this is 128.
Or is this 21 you just changed it to?
That's 21. Yeah.
So yeah, the dips have been consistently supporting the 21. That's a sign of a market that's moving in a more accelerated fashion than when it can test the 50. So these are timeframes I like to watch. And again, that 50 is coming in down much lower than I was looking at for my trend continuing. But that's just another good tool that I like to use. It look back. I mean, anybody watching, look back historically, just using the 50 EMA on the 12-hour chart. When the price is above the 50 EMA on the 12-hour chart, you could just use that as your bull trend. It's a very effective tool. Just pull up like a 1 EMA and a 50 EMA on the 12-hour, and those crossovers are going to be very effective.
No, I'm pulling it up. What's his latest tweet?
His latest tweet.
I'm here officially joining the effort to make Bitcoin Cash the leading electronic cash solution. Well, that's unfortunate, Mr. .com, because welcome to the Jihan world of losing all your money in your company.
Enjoy your checkpoints.
This feels like the guys
help to accelerate the use of BCH. I mean, it's a free market. You can make your own silly decisions. You will pump Bcash like it's happening right now. This is probably Kim.com causing this pump in Bcash, and I can tell you exactly how it's going to end. I don't know where this pump is going to stop, but the future of Bcash is that.
Everyone should go on Kim.com's tweet and ask him to stop using Twitter because he's using the second layer of the internet, and he needs to get back to the base protocol and only be using TCP/IP. Because that's the only way, right? That's essentially what he's saying with Bcash and everything. It's like, oh no, we can scale the layers.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, so,
and the ultimate move for Bcash is to zero. Yeah. And all Kim.com is doing is giving other people a chance to get out of their dumb positions. So take the opportunity. If you're sitting on a bag of Bcash, but no one really is at this point, get out. I mean, get out.
And this is really smelling to me like the last, like they're getting desperate. Like, think of somebody like a Michael Saylor or somebody who comes in and buys, makes a good position before the market moves in their favor. And think about somebody else who just keeps coming in. Like, this isn't his first time. They're consistently trying to do what they can to prop up this market, and their efforts are going to get weaker and weaker and weaker. And I would agree that this little pump and this little market could just come from one tweet. And this is going to be a selling opportunity when you have these last ditch efforts really starting to lose the gasoline that they had, or not having near as much effectiveness as they had. That's where I would start to be really looking at some good hedging opportunities. I think there's some really, really interesting opportunities with what we're seeing in the divergence from alts and Bitcoin. For example, the idea of buying some Bitcoin and shorting some Bitcoin Cash. I think that this is a really good hedge to where if Bitcoin goes down, I would think Bitcoin Cash would go down as well, and that the short could cover. And if Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin Cash is probably not going to keep up, and it might continue to slide down. So these altcoins right now, I think, are offering some really good hedging opportunities to get into some long exposure for Bitcoin.
Yeah, see, I don't see this. Look, yes, there was a bubble in 2013 from 1,200 to 200. And yes, there was a bubble in 2017 from 20K to 32K. But the difference between 1,200 and 20,000 is almost 20x. And yet somehow a 2x is creating another bubble. So this is your problem, whoever tweeted this. And Ivan on Tech replied, because I just got tagged in it. Your problem is that why do you assume 42,000 is not like the others? Like if this was 420,000, right. I would agree with you that an 85% correction is coming because it ain't taking us down to 6.3 at that point. If you add a 0 to this, that's a 20x move.
Absolutely. If he wanted to make this an actual comparison, what he would do is say 2021 bubble is at $2,400. Like where the 2013 bubble went to 1,200, and then when it doubled, what price was it at? $2,400. And how far did it go beyond that? It was basically adding another zero.
Now we did pull back when we broke 2,400 quick. We went to 3,000, and we pulled back to 1,800. So we pulled back a good over almost 50%. We pulled back 40%. So if you want to do a 40% pullback from here, that's reasonable. A 40% pullback from here, it takes us down to about 25.
Absolutely.
But if you want to go with an 85% correction, this needs to be at least 200K, in my opinion.
I completely
before
agree.
An 85% correction can and an 85% correction from 200K still keeps us, you know, about 40K.
I completely agree. And this is even the kind of tweet that would make me unfollow somebody, to be honest. Like this really kind of... I
don't think anyone's following.
Well, if I happen to be following somebody that had this tweet up, it would really make me reconsider what they're talking about, because what he's saying is the bubble top. And a bubble isn't 2 times a prior all-time high. That's just not even close to being a bubble. And this could be the top. Maybe he's right, and that we go straight to 6K from here. But that wouldn't mean that it was a bubble. It would mean that it was basically a vicious fake out. So this only the beginning stages of what could be considered a bubble, in my opinion.
I have no idea who that is. You need to meet someone like Tom Vays to active. Let me get. I don't know.
Max Kaiser retweeted out a Cointelegraph article talking about only 78% of the 78% of the Bitcoin supply is illiquid, and that there's only about 4.5 million coins actually available right now.
That's fascinating. We were talking about this the other night, and it's something I've said time and time again, that there's never going to be anywhere close to 20 million Bitcoin, and I don't think there's ever going to be 10 million Bitcoin, due to how hard it would be to store those early coins that cost $100 to get 10,000 coins, and you're in college, you're 20 years old. What are the chances you have that today? It's like less than 10%. And how many coins were issued in those early years? There ain't never going to be 10 million coins. And I think what I always say is there's going to be way less than anybody could imagine. And hearing a projection like that is very interesting, because that's about in line with what I actually do think the supply of Bitcoin is. And why I think the value is going to be well out of line with any stock to flow ratio that doesn't account for how many coins have been lost.
So let me ask you this. So this is where people on Twitter that get to stay anonymous are just completely stupid. And like at which point did I say I was short Bitcoin? I am literally still long.
Just add Ethereum predictions, like people that Bitcoin is the king, and add Ethereum. It's like,
add Ethereum, right? Right. So,
and he follows you,
right? And he follows me. But at what point did I say I was short?
Well, I don't think
I'm literally still long.
I haven't heard you being bold.
I don't think he even thinks that. I think that he just is like so confused with his own life that he is trying to get attention.
It's like 80% of Twitter. I'm 90, maybe
90, 95 of the
we got another super chat from Sion. What do you got here? Tone, thanks for all that you do. Guesstimation: will the price of Bitcoin be higher or lower at the end of next week compared to current price? I think at the end of next week will be higher than current price, which is 38K.
Yeah, I really have to wait to see how this pullback works. If this holds that level that I'm looking at, I'm going to be, looking at that 44 as kind of a minimum target. If in the next 18 hours we're below 36, then I'm going to be very much expecting lower prices over the following week. And so far, we're seeing some good action. 34 minutes left to go on this hourly close. If we get back-to-back inside bars, that would be a buy signal for me before it returns to that beach, that entry level zone that's kind of that tan area. If price doesn't get there and we get 2 closes that are inside bars, that's where I would be buying at the bottom of that second inside bar. So we're 34 minutes away. And if it closes inside, then that would be a buy signal for me.
Yeah, I still think we're going to pull back one more time and breach this low of 37.
And just to clarify, if I did buy this, I'm always trimming on the 50 EMA. I'd be selling 30% there. And so I would just be, and then in a spot where if it doesn't take off, I'm going to be getting out around break even. The trim would just be to help me get out if it doesn't move in my favor around break even.
Yeah. So once again, where am I buying the dip? I am buying this dip on Tuesday or Wednesday in the under 35K or under. And I need to see strength of reversal. I'm not just going to buy it because it went under 35. I need signs of reversal. I am still looking for my 1 to 4 candle correction, and this is already one, and potentially this is the second candle, if that's one, because the top came in 2 days ago. So I am looking to buy here at under 35. If I don't get a good opportunity to buy it, I will patiently wait until we're crossing this line at 41.1 or 41.2. And then I'm very confident that we're going higher. And the bigger this correction and the longer this correction, the more confident I am that when 41K is broken, the higher we go.
Yep.
Because we have 1,600 live viewers right now. So I wanted to reiterate.
Absolutely.
Good numbers.
Absolutely.
Once again, guys, hey, check out the latest Wikileaks dump of all of Hillary Clinton's emails. And I hope there is enough in there to arrest the entire Clinton family. Maybe the world will do the world some good. And if there's other incriminating evidence here to other government officials, hope Trump arrests them all before he departs office in 10 days.
But I will say, I do think Joe Biden locking in the presidency would be the most bullish case for Bitcoin, just because with all 3 branches of government, they are going to immediately be able to start passing the stimulus checks and passing the more spending.
Yeah, we were talking about it
like,
yesterday.
You know,
the original stimulus check is now worth what, like $8,000-9,000 if you put it into Bitcoin. And if they do the UBI and everyone gets $2,000 a year, a month, a week, a day, like what's their plan?
they want to do, well, it would be.
I hope it's a day.
Yeah,
I hope it's 2,000 a day. That'd be great.
That would be amazing. Right now, for sure, what they're going to do is on the first day, they're going to pass the $1,400 stimulus. So if you haven't got your 600 yet from the first from this one that just happened a couple weeks ago, you'll get 1,400, and if you haven't gotten any of it yet, it'll just be $2,000.
I haven't gotten my 600. Maybe I did. I don't know. Maybe I should check mail and whatever addresses I live in these days. But because I would love to see, again, I would love to see Trump arrest all these corrupt politicians only to watch Biden pardon them for the reasons that he would.
Well, that's
it would be great.
Because even if he does arrest them, they'll just get pardoned.
I know, but I want to see the reasoning behind the pardon.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a very good point. That's a very good point. And my opinion is that in terms of Democrats winning all 3 branches or whatever, I don't think there's any more reason needed to be bullish on Bitcoin at this point. We have never had Bitcoin during money printing, and that is the reason why it's here. And all of this corruption is really causing people to question their, where their money is and if they trust where they live. Like a lot of things are changing right now. And due to the recent money printing and the recent halving, I can't imagine any more reason to be bullish on Bitcoin over the following years. Furthermore, we've never had Bitcoin in a gold bull market. This is the first time we've ever experienced Bitcoin with a bullish environment for sound money. And I think that is going to get a lot of these gold guys who believe in gold, just like myself. I owned gold well before I got Bitcoin into Bitcoin, because the increasing price is what attracts people
to messages
Bitcoin.
On a public stream. I have another instance.
Just like it would attract it to gold. And when you get some interest in this space, I think that and then you have the Wall Street.
Nice.
That there isn't much more that needs to happen, in my opinion.
Oh, I can't pull that up. Okay.
Also look at Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no.
They started buying up ETFs more and more. Risk assets are just going to be supported. I mean, going to equity ETFs, possibly, I don't know, individual stocks, but I don't.
Yeah. I mean, if you know people that actually still think that the Federal Reserve and the government are not all tied together at this point, and you still think that they're separated entities, I think you need to be checked into a psych ward at this point. Like, she was literally just the head of the Federal Reserve in 2016. Like, it's fresh. Like, and they're literally just going to bring her in to be Treasury Secretary. So You know, so it's like, it's insane.
So someone is saying, isn't it inflationary for Bitcoin if you put the stimulus check into BTC? No, it's not inflationary for Bitcoin.
Well, the
Supply
price
and
goes
demand.
up, yeah.
But that's not inflationary. Like the amount of Bitcoins in the world is fixed.
Yeah.
So every dollar that goes into Bitcoin is just less Bitcoin go around. Ozzy, thanks, man. Thanks for the super chat. Politics and Bitcoin price are in direct correlation. So please stop with the hate. I agree. Like understanding politics is incredibly important to understanding the markets. Also incredibly important to know where to live. But anyway, hey, I do want to wrap up this stream soon. We got a bunch of
I'll
friends
just
here
give
want to
a-
hang out, shoot some pool,
A
watch
quick
some
reply
football.
to Ozzy and appreciate everybody contributing as well. And at the end of the day, there, you know, you kind of have to wonder, what would you prefer, $100,000 Bitcoin or a safe place to live with your friends and family? And I get the feeling that Tone is looking at a much bigger perspective than just what is the price of Bitcoin. And if the political environment is good for the price of Bitcoin, that may not be good for all of us, you know, moving forward. And I really appreciate Tone for taking the stance that he has, because it's not easy to come out and be very vocal about ending the lockdown or not wearing masks, this sort of thing, no matter how much you believe in it, to really take that sort of controversial stance in this environment, not in hindsight, like when it's actually happening, is what we need more of in this world, because we have plenty of the news and that other side filling our ears. And just Tone taking the, you know, energy and the effort and having the courage to put out what he really believes in, and being able to even do that if it's not in line with what's happened with the price of Bitcoin. I really appreciate the integrity that you have and the confidence that you have to be able to share what you truly believe in.
Right. And it's not the future you want. Like you don't want to be Bitcoin rich to the point where you need to hire a private army to protect your Bitcoin. That's not how you want to live. You're not going to sleep very well at night because your private army can turn on you any second. You want to live in a free environment where you may not be as rich, but at least you can sleep at night knowing that they're not coming for you and your Bitcoin. And this is where you need to really understand the difference between communism, leftism ideologies, and more free market ideologies. And I'm not saying Republicans are a free market ideology, but you got to understand that Trump is not a totalitarian, even though his opposition is making him look that way right now based on what he has to do in order to, you know, try to keep America what it was meant to be the last 200 years.
Absolutely. And we live in a very, very, very interesting time. And as I always try to be a little bit, or as optimistic as I can, when's the last time we've really experienced change happening so fast? And I can't imagine how much different things are going to be in the next 5 to 10 years. And here we are right in the middle of it. And not only are we in the middle of it, but we're already having some experience and understanding of what Bitcoin is and what it's here for. And this is a big part of what we've been kind of waiting for, in the senses for the real status quo to change, we need some sort of paradigm shift to where it really forces the change. The change doesn't happen until it gets forced. And that's what's happening right now. And for one, I mean, there's a lot of reasons to be scared, but this is a time that I want to live in, a time where shit really changes and where you really have an opportunity to impact what's going to happen over the years to come. And I think that a lot of what I've been seeing is good, that it is forcing us towards evolution. It's forcing us to implement technology that has been there for us for a long time. People are starting to work at home and this sort of thing. And this is pushing us into the future, and we get to be here and be a part of this change that is happening faster than it's ever happened before. So being educated, staying on top of what's happening, and taking the time to think about it for yourself and talk about it with your friends and family, keeping these conversations going, I think is going to be
an open mind. It's like, you don't have to get so angry if someone just wants maybe like Trump to stay in or Biden. Everyone's got their own like philosophy. It's just like, don't get so polarized. Don't let them polarize you. Like,
Absolutely. And
know,
that's
like-
their one of their main ways that they gain control over a society is to separate us, to get us bickering with our neighbors about who's wearing masks or who voted for
We all just want
who.
to be together and happy, and like no
Absolutely
one
right.
wants to be in a gulag. Like no one on either side of the aisle wants to be in the gulag, like, you know, or a bad place, really, right?
Absolutely. And we just can't, we cannot become disconnected as a community. We have to connect with those that
Jesus
are
fucking
like-minded.
Christ, look at Tesla.
Those
Oh,
people that
let's
are
talk about that.
willing to stand up for what they believe in and willing to go to places that they are willing to support the economy and that sort of thing. This is the only chance that we have, in my opinion, is to stick together and to not let them accomplish their goal of dividing us.
Yeah. And you kind of hit on it. It's that good. I think it's Bill Gates' quote. It's like we underestimate what we can get done in 10 years, but overestimate what we can do in 1 year. And that's
Yes.
that's what 2020 was. It gave everyone that chance to get caught up. Like it's almost like a certain proportion of the population of the planet was living in this new world already, and then
Exactly
what the coronavirus and the lockdowns did was it kind of like pushed the rest of the planet into that more digital like domain.
Well, at least those that are willing to evolve. I mean,
Yeah,
it's a survival of the fittest, and people that aren't willing to evolve, they're going to get left behind, and the people that are going to take over.
And Tesla, Tone, Michael Burry got publicly short at the end of December, and that's why it's on a more of a
Michael
pump.
Burry.
Well, I
got
think
massively
I
short.
think Tesla's gonna top next week.
Yeah.
That is a massive pump, and we have an MRI warning. MRI comes in as of Monday. I think Tesla is going to top sometime this month and pull back. It's clearly in hyperwave phase 3, which is a very steep phase 3. But I need to be on linear chart. Fuck.
Yeah, I would argue
Actually,
this is phase 2, and this is actually something that is, and it definitely could be a 3, but this is the most close parallel that I have for Bitcoin myself.
This is insane on a linear chart, actually. I don't know what this is. It's not even fitting hyperwave.
Well, it is right here, this 2.
This is 2, but like it's going to come back to 2 then?
Yes,
So Tesla is about to correct back to 500.
Or take off into 3. This could be 3 developing here, but this is a clean
Pretty
2.
short 2 though.
But the thing is the angle, how steeply this took off.
How much of the float is short?
That is an angle that is very abnormal for a 2. To take off that steeply after horizontal consolidation is what we're seeing right now out of Bitcoin. And this is the best chart that I have to compare to the recent action in Bitcoin, that maybe Bitcoin's like right here to where we haven't had that. Maybe Bitcoin could snap back to the all-time high like
Right.
that.
Yeah, I thought maybe you can squeeze a 2 in from here to there. That's a very low, steep 2.
Yeah, I think this is just a really good one.
And that's the thing. Well, like phase 2 is not steep enough, and this phase 2 is too steep. Like there's no middle ground here. I think Tesla needs a nice, healthy correction to establish a 2 that's more like that.
See, I think that was that nice, healthy correction right there. And this is rare. Like I'm saying, I've seen very, very few 2s that take off at this angle. And it's almost enough to invalidate it and say that, no, this doesn't count because this 2 shouldn't be taking off at this angle. But that's what Bitcoin's doing right now.
This is almost like Bitcoin in 2013, which was too steep for a hyperwave because the hyperwave was actually in 2017.
Exactly.
So you're right. This does feel like that Bitcoin 2013, which was too steep and didn't fit hyperwave.
And 30% of Tesla shares are short right now.
And I do think Tesla is ripe for a correction next week.
So let's just pull up Bitcoin now that we've looked at that on the weekly. Because if we pull up Bitcoin, I've been looking at this as a phase 2 here for a little bit.
I should have a hyperwave thing here. They're like trying to end the stream. It's just not happening. Hyperwave Bitcoin.
You just tell me to shut up whenever it's time. But so here we see that a nice phase 1 could be drawn there.
Right. So this was me invalidating hyperwave with the horizontal of phase 6.
Yep. Perfect. So if we just move a horizontal down to that 12K area.
Well,
like up.
Well, that's 12. 12K.
Yeah.
That's
So like from
Over
here
here.
to, yeah, this is our new phase one.
So you see, this is a new phase one.
Absolutely.
That doesn't bother you.
Nope. And this is something I even talked to Tyler about preemptively was if we go down to 1,000 and consolidate sideways for a while, being that there were closes above before that happened, this is still would be a legitimate phase one.
Well,
He
now
said,
this is way too steep for phase two.
exactly, just like with Tesla. So here's where the line gets connected is off of these lows here. That gives us
So we
a
would
phase two
probably pull
that's
back
too
into
steep.
that.
It's too steep, but it's the
agree.
best. It is going to count for me right now. And like I said, I've seen very few like this. Tesla being one of them. When you take off into a phase two that's extra steep, there's a lot of implications, and it would suggest that the following phases could be extra steep as well. So this is my phase two that Tone has drawn right there. That's it. And the major corrections, this is where I would be expecting maybe a 24 to 26K down to return to that trend line.
I think that's the least steep I can draw. I guess
Yep. Yeah, that's good.
that's the best I can do here because that's okay. That's legal.
Yeah. I'd connect it to those wicks and not start it until we closed above the horizontal. So if we move this one up to here. Yep. And then connect to the wicks.
That's even steeper though. I'm trying to make it less
yeah,
steep.
right. But this is, we got to wait for one close above the phase.
But
one.
I can take it all the way to that.
But we're not supposed to start until there's a close above the phase one.
Oh, really?
And I do look for a red candle to connect to. I wouldn't be penciling it in until we have a red candle. So boom, that's it. And if we extend it, we can see that a major correction could come down to 26, and hold that area. And now this is looking like a pretty good phase two. The more you zoom out, it's looking a lot like Tesla to me. And
Well, because you can't even see this mess because there was a problem here back in 2013 where it happened too steep.
exactly. And that's basically what I'm seeing here. To where
We tried to do a hyperwave here.
But there weren't enough phases. Exactly right. Like you could have a 1, but then it's just a straight.
It's just too steep, right? So this was my 2, but then if you draw your 1, you got this problem.
And that's okay, because if the 1 starts here, then that's okay. We start the 1, all closes are below.
Right, so I used this top as 1.
Yep.
And then this was my 2, all of 2012.
Yep.
And then 2013
entered
into a phase 3. And then the end, this was the phase 4.
Yep. Absolutely. So
And that was 5-6.
And this original trend line that you had down at the bottom, that's kind of what we're drawing right now, is just this first trend line that if we zoom in, it starts to look a lot steeper. If we don't have this action in.
But then we had that massive pullback.
Exactly. So a massive pullback right now to 24.
Right. This would have been rough to draw at the time.
But you still could have you got 1 close above.
So this is why I want to see 60K and then a pullback into say 30K. So now if we go to present time, if we do, pull back a little and then go higher and we're hitting 60K at the end of January, early February, now a pullback takes us, by April, March, like say a 2-month pullback.
Yeah.
A 2-3 month pullback only takes us back to 40.
And that's the perfect
We
phase
hold
2.
phase 2 and enter phase 3 as it goes to 100.
And we're only in phase 2 and everybody else is calling
Right,
it
because then we
bubble
can
top.
go
Everybody's calling it bubble top.
we can go from 40 to 100 in phase 3, 100 to 250 in phase 4 over a few months time.
Absolutely right. And this is what I'm expecting more than anything else.
Whoa, we just got spammed.
We're getting wrecked.
We just get spammed.
26K incoming, yeah.
Is that because
We're getting wrecked.
Talon, what do you think of the reasoning for people heavily invested in the libertarian-based BTC but anti-free speech? I don't get it. A lot of people. Okay, right. So this is the Peter McCormick, I guess, argument where technically, YouTube and Twitter and Facebook can ban anyone they like, but as a company, as a public company that's borderline on a public utility, I mean, does your electricity provider, a private company that provides electricity to your home, do they have the right to cut off your electricity because they don't like your politics?
Do they have the right if you're paying your bill? I don't think so.
Well, again, this is the argument, right? It's like, why can't Twitter remove me because they're a private company? But I'm like, but they're borderline on a public utility at this point, like a free speech platform,
So who
borderlines on a public utility. Well, here's the thing, and this is my view on it. Just like your electricity provider can't just cut off your electricity because they don't like your politics. Eventually, these platforms have the responsibility of a public utility to where they need a specific guideline as to why they banned you. Is it like specifically defined hate speech? Did you break their policy? Right. Because the job of your government, the US government, I don't know about other governments, because the US has the best constitution in the world. The reason why it's the best is because the Constitution was designed to limit the rule of the government for people's rights. Now, the government since day one have been trying to get around that Constitution. So it's actually the government's job to tell Facebook they cannot do that because of free speech. We are defending people's free speech. If you are going to run a company, people need to have the right to free speech. So the government should be defending the people against Facebook and not encouraging Facebook to take out their political opponents.
Well, I will say though, is
same goes for Twitter.
Remember, the social platform, the social networks came to the government and asked for this special platform exemption. They said, we're going to be open platforms and but just please don't punish us for allowing people to post on there. And so the government created their platform regulation, and so it said they told them, you guys can't be publishers, you can't like moderate content like that if you're going to be open platform. You got to be either one or the other. You have to either be the New York Times or you need to be an open platform. And now and this is why there's a big divide, is because they're straddling both sides of that. They're telling everyone it's still an open platform, but then they just get to decide who gets to say what, and they get to say, oh, this person we like gets to say this thing, right, but the people we don't like say the exact same thing this person said, but we can delete you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like and one question I have for you, Tone, is I like your point. You bring up a very good point. Is it a public service? And my question is, who gets to decide what is a public service? Could they just say that, this is
this is one of those few things that libertarians hate me for. This is the job of the government, to defend the Constitution for their citizens, right? They're defending it. So the government needs to go after Facebook and say, we're gonna, like the way the SEC goes after companies for breaking security laws. If the government comes into Facebook and say, we're gonna fine you $1 million for every user you ban off your platform that we feel is a violation of their free speech. So you need to defend every single person you deplatform to the government and how they were deplatformed without their free speech being infringed upon, because I have the right to free speech.
I agree with you there.
And a lot less people would get deplatformed.
Right. One point I wanted to make really quickly, though, is that could have some scary implications. That if we say that a government can determine, they can control a business if they decide it's a public service. So they decide this is a public service, and now this is our job to control you. We can now fine you for
but again,
they can say anything's a public service.
Well, you're right, but again, it's not the reverse, right? It's not, the government isn't coming in fining them because they didn't remove someone, right? So this is like that proving a negative case, right? Yeah. If it was the reverse, I would agree with you. If the government had the right to fine Facebook because they did not deplatform someone, that is government infringing on people's rights. But we're talking about the reverse. And this is where people confuse government being totalitarian versus government defending people's rights.
Yeah, and so it's even next level beyond that. So the libertarians, right, and will say, it's Twitter's private platform. They can, if they're private, right? They'll say that.
Absolutely.
But that's not what we're seeing. It would be different if they were just banning you on Twitter and you could go somewhere else. They're not. Google, Facebook, Apple, YouTube, Google, they're all coordinating. And when they ban you, they ban you on everything. That's the part
right.
Really
now, as an example,
so now we're talking about pure monopoly power of accessing the internet, right?
As an example, when Alex Jones got deplatformed by everything combined, first of all, that is almost like a RICO case, right? It was a coordinated attack.
Yeah.
But the point is, like, again, it's the government's job to now come in and say, prove that Alex Jones, and they can actually fine them based on the usage. So for example, the government can say, if you're going to deplatform someone that has, like, the more followers they have, the more their speech matters. Like, you guys, some people that have 8 followers on Twitter don't care how many, like you're like, yo, my voice is as equal as yours. I have 8 followers and you have 200,000, but we're equal. No, we're not equal.
I'm being censored.
Right. We're not equal. But if the government did have a policy saying, if you're going to deplatform someone, you have to prove that you're not they have free speech. Like, prove to us.
That.
And with someone like Alex Jones, based on his followers, the fine could be $1 billion. Like, the bigger the person that you're going to deplatform, you need to prove that it was hate speech, it was inciting violence, it was
child porn,
right? Something like posting, like doxing, like you got to have your specific criteria as to why they got deplatformed, because and it's the government's job to police that, to give us rights. Like, the government's supposed to defend the people's rights. They're doing the opposite, but that's how it should work. And that's the confusion that people get. It's not the government coming in forcing a deplatform. It's the opposite. Government comes in to right.
To stop the censorship.
Right. It's like, it's amazing how the Freedom of Information Act still exists. Like, and we were talking about that, like, earlier when we were talking about taxes, like, using the Freedom of Information Act to find out from the IRS, like, you use the Freedom of Information Act to get your stats from the IRS so that you know where you stand with them. So something like that would be interesting.
I appreciate your response, and I like that a lot. I'm just still very interested in the idea of them being able to do that only if it's a public service. Like, for example, if we have a place like Twitter where it is a company and they have somebody who they just want to remove because they feel it's removing from their community, that they're not doing anything that's breaking the laws, but they feel it's taking away from their business. So they want to remove them. To me, like, if it's a public service, now they can't, but if it isn't a public service, they are
no, but that's
the
thing. They can still remove that. But they need, like, for example, when we were all being deplatformed or our videos get taken down by YouTube, we don't even know why. And they don't tell us why.
Yeah, for sure.
And they don't have to tell us why, because the government regulation has not come in and forced YouTube to say, if you're going to deplatform someone, you need to have a clear, like, explanation to the person as to why, and we can come in and you better.
But here's the thing, though, is that there's a sign in most restaurants that say we have the right to refuse business to anyone.
Yes.
And having that right to refuse business to anyone, to you, it sounds like, as long as it isn't a public service, like if it's not your power bill,
yes,
then okay.
Yes.
So that's where I'm kind of like, you should have the right to refuse business to anyone. If
right.
You want to refuse business.
Right. But that's because it's just one local restaurant. Now imagine if 80% of all food, God forbid, was McDonald's, right? And now, to me, if everyone is eating, if 80% of Americans are eating at one restaurant, McDonald's, with one corporation, McDonald's, and McDonald's says, we have the right to refuse anyone permanently. And all of a sudden, they don't like your politics. And McDonald's says, you can't eat there. And that's 80% of how you eat. So they can literally kill you, right? So this is where the government comes in. No. You're not a little restaurant anymore. You're a public utility. You're the food utility.
So that's my
question.
If
you're going to remove
who
him,
gets to decide what's a public utility? Like, if we're going to have this line drawn to where the government can implement their policies and they can't, well, how is this line going to get drawn for what is? So if McDonald's gets too big, now all of a sudden they have to follow different guidelines. It's just, there's scary implications to allowing government to control.
Well, again, it depends on, and now we're going back to when that happens, if the government's role is to defend the freedom of the users of that utility versus helping the utility deplatform the users, right? If the role of the government is to help the people to fight against the corporation they can't fight, you can't fight Twitter. I can't fight Twitter. They're too big. I can fight a local restaurant. We were talking about that earlier. Some guy that has a local restaurant was known to be part of the events in DC, like supporting Trump. And now some local politician is trying to destroy his business because his business is too small. So one guy.
Well, they did it to Olive Garden too, right? An Olive Garden employee was at the Capitol, and they got found out, and then Olive Garden had to fire him and release a statement and be like, and
that's
they have
entirely
to start liability. And it's like, Jesus. What?
Right. So if it's a small business, one guy in your neighborhood can destroy your business if you have a bad practice. But if the business is big enough, like Walmart doesn't fucking care, right? So when a business gets big enough, I feel that it's the government's job to make sure that that business doesn't take advantage of people. But the rules they put in are like the opposite. They're like stupid. So instead of just defending people's free speech or other things, for example, there are the Second Amendment, federal Second Amendment. I have the right to own a gun, but then there are states that say that you can't. So this is where I feel the federal government needs to defend people's rights to the Second Amendment and tell the mayor of New York and the governor of New York or California, no, fuck you, you can't put in these gun restrictions because these people are American citizens and Americans have the right to the Second Amendment.
I agree with that Second Amendment statement for sure, but the original idea of protecting citizens against big businesses is not necessarily something I agree in, as long as it's a fair environment. If we have a fair environment where Twitter starts banning everybody, there's going to be a competitor that comes up that people are going to be able to start using.
Well, that's the thing. First of all, they're shutting them down.
If there's a free market.
Well, again, the government needs to come in and fucking fine Jeff Bezos $20 billion for what he just did to Parler by taking away their Amazon Web Services because he doesn't like their politics.
Well, I would just still say you have the right to refuse business to anyone for any reason. And that's just my opinion.
Look, as long as I guess you're right, then we're going to have to go get our own app store. We're going to have to go.
And if they fuck up so bad to where they keep doing this, going down this road, who's going to keep using them in 10 years?
Like, there won't be anyone left on the platform, right?
We're going lower, man. This is why I was bearish this whole run.
This would be coming up on my buy spot right here. I would be
no double bottoms, right? On the 1 hour.
Hey, are you guys heading out? All right. I want to make sure we end the stream so we can hang out with you guys for a little bit before you.
See, I really like having 4 solid red candles going into support. For me, this is a good spot.
So again, to me, this is the role of government, especially the federal government, to prevent companies like Amazon from deplatforming, to prevent Twitter from deplatforming people because they're infringing on people's constitutional rights. They're infringing on people's free speech. New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, they're infringing on people's Second Amendment. Now, as a small business, you can say, I don't allow guns in my business.
For sure.
But, and that's
just a different argument, in my opinion, that Twitter's offering me the ability to get some speech through Twitter. Like, I wouldn't have any Twitter following if it wasn't for Twitter. And if Twitter decides they want to ban me because they don't agree with what I'm posting on their platform, it's like, yeah, it is taking away my free speech, but it was free speech that was given to me from that company to begin with.
Right, but they have such a competitive advantage now. And again, this is the thing. I can't use Gab because I don't have my username on Gab. I ran into that problem this morning. So they do have this competitive advantage. And if they're going to deplatform someone, they need clear, specific reasons. And the only way they're going to have that is if the federal government comes in and forces them to have these policies. Like we're signing these unreadable fucking documents.
For sure.
Mostly because of government regulation. And yet the most important government regulation to protect people's amendment rights, they don't give a fuck about.
No, I agree with you that, and I do, and I am maybe being idealistic about a free market, that if they keep banning people on Twitter, that the free market is going to come up with an alternative that maybe you won't be able to get Tone Vays, but you would still rather be there as Tone Vays 1 than being on Twitter. And the more that Twitter keeps trying to, and Facebook and all these guys keep trying to control and not offer what they originally were offering, the more likely it is for somebody to come in and offer an alternative that people eventually then move to. And that is kind of just the theoretical free market perspective. And I just really shy away from governments being able to step in and stop big businesses from doing what they want to do.
Damn. Freeport, they're a gold miner.
Copper miner, right?
Gold miner.
Oh, gold miner.
They're copper? Freeport McMoran? Copper?
Number 2 largest copper miner.
Oh, sure. I thought they were gold mining.
They have huge facilities in Indonesia.
The weekly is very bullish. The daily is probably on an MRI top. It is coming up on Monday. Yeah, I think they're, yeah, that's a big run up.
It's a nice acceleration.
And
maybe
I think,
parabola.
yeah, look how it bottoms. Look at that.
Beautiful. That's perfect.
Absolute perfect bottom in March. They should buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, when are some gold miners going to start putting Bitcoin on the books?
Oh yeah,
that would be the investment right there. I mean, their gold miners are as volatile as Bitcoin. Yeah. And if they start having gold and Bitcoin on the books, because they're going to have plenty of cash with the price of gold going up. God damn, and somebody's going to figure that out.
I see. Absolutely. I agree with that.
Yeah, I think it's going to affect obviously the oil miners the most. The oil industry with Bitcoin mining.
Hey guys, we had a lot of. I want to just read through some of the Q&A stuff really quick before we get off the stream. Bitcoin Motors, can you ask Tone to take a look at Bitcoin dominance and Bitcoin versus Ethereum? I don't give a shit about Ethereum, guys. As I believe it may give a better idea of a Bitcoin correction. No, it won't give a better idea of a Bitcoin correction.
One thing I will say there, though, is the Bitcoin market cap dominance is I do not think that that's something to be following along anymore. I think it's a completely irrelevant chart because new altcoins are getting created every day. And if new altcoins are being created every day and Bitcoin is just holding its dominance, well, then it's actually increasing in dominance in a significant way. And you could even argue that it's going down in dominance, but it's actually increasing due to the amount of new projects that there are coming on board.
And
so
then if you just look at it with just proof of work coins, it gets even crazier.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I've really been, I've only been looking at ETH versus BTC as my kind of altcoin dominant, my Bitcoin dominance chart. The ETH BTC chart is incredibly important to me. And it's in a very, very important spot. If it fails to reclaim that 0.3 area and continues to make new lows, it could really, really go on a 1-year trend down in a big way. Whereas if it reclaims that, area of support that it consolidated for a year, that'll be a very, very big deal because that's not based on new projects being created as much as the Bitcoin market cap dominance would be.
And yeah, I'm still bearish here. I don't see a big bounce. I see it going a little bit lower, probably bounce off the support line at just under 37. And yeah, so there's really not that many other questions. But here, people in the chat, make your own platform. Well, that's the thing, right? You can spend millions and millions of dollars creating a Twitter competitor and then be crushed by Amazon Web Services, like just taking it away. So where is the motivation of putting in the money? Like you almost have to build a new internet because right now they're controlling the internet.
Or you have to do an ICO. Like
and this is why the US is going to collapse as a superpower because they stopped defending people's constitutional rights. The reason why the US has been a superpower for the last 100, 200 years, well, it took about 100 years for the world to have confidence that the US was actually going to defend people's constitutional rights because it is supposed to be the freest country. What makes it the freest country is its constitution. And while it took 100+ years for people to have confidence that the US constitution is the best constitution, the last 100 years have been slowly eroding that. So as the constitutional rights begin to collapse, there's no point for the world to trust US as the world superpower. And there goes its politics. And this is why corruption is so rampant. And there goes its economy. And there goes the dollar. And this is where Bitcoin can step up. So all of this is connected. And the only way America can salvage its superpower status is to actually give people their constitutional rights, but they're doing the complete opposite. Like they're destroying the Fourth Amendment with the spying. They're destroying the Fifth Amendment for self-incriminalization because everything you do is under penalty of perjury, and they'll get you for lying. They're obviously destroying the Second Amendment by taking away your guns. They're destroying the First Amendment by allowing these platforms to censor political speech. And they're destroying the Third Amendment of the elections because they're now just corrupt. And they can elect themselves like Hugo Chavez. So that's the first 5 amendments right there. I'd have to refresh my memory on the rest, but to me, the first 5 are the only 5 that really, really, really matter, because I think the free market takes care of the rest. But we can double check what the others are. I mean, I know the first 5 very well,
and that's just a good thing to think about is why was this country founded? What built this country? What built this country was risk takers and people that were willing to stand up for what they believed in and go out there and try to sail across the fucking ocean to a place that's never been inhabited by people before, and then to go across the country in wagons, when all that you hear from people nowadays are like, even from America, but especially from Europe, is like just how big this fucking place is. And the reality is it was inhabited by people that were in tremendously difficult situations, and that the only reason they were motivated to do that was because they wanted to create a lifestyle for themselves and their family and their descendants. And that is the lifestyle that built this country into being the greatest country in the world. And when that lifestyle starts to get questioned, that's when you start to have to really ask yourself, why are you here in the first place, and what would you be willing to do to maintain the way of life that you believe in? So yeah, I know that we're trying to wrap this up, but that is again why I appreciate so much what Tone is doing, because there are so few people out there that are really taking a stand for what they believe in this tumultuous environment. And I would just encourage anybody else out there watching to take a moment to think about what it is about America that you value. If you live here, why do you still live here? And is it something that there's some better options elsewhere? We have the free will still to move around and to find the place that offers the best quality of life. And I myself still think it's America, and that might change, and it would absolutely break my heart if it does. But as it stands, I think America is the best country in the world, and that it offers me the best opportunity to create a life for myself and to offer security for a family or something along those lines. And I can go on and on about all the things that I do not like, but at the end of the day, I'm very proud to be an American, and I'm going to be here to try to do my best to stand up for the morals that I believe in and what this country is built on.
Right. So I pulled it up. So the first 5 are pretty clear and how they're all being destroyed. But then the rest, so 6 and 7 and 8, all have to do with you not going to prison. It's amazing how this entire fucking document was basically designed because the British could easily throw you in prison and throw away the key. So this entire document is basically designed not to be in prison. And yet America has the most number of people in fucking prison in the world, with its constitution founded to prevent you from going to prison. Well, you can't make this shit up. So again, all of this is like the extra stuff. This is like, well, Fourth Amendment, they can't just search your shit. And Fifth Amendment, you can't incriminate yourself, which is destroyed with under penalty of perjury. You can't say anything. And then the rest are literally how not to go, like don't put people in prison. And everyone's in prison.
Shout out to GSD for life. Florida is the best country in the world at the moment, and that is 100% fact.
I like it. It's today I went to the store and I didn't have a mask on, and that was quite a freeing experience. I'll tell you what. I mean, just seeing somebody that I walk down the hall, you smile at, and they see you smile at them. It's
yeah. So that's what I do. Honestly, like I haven't worn masks like pretty much the whole time. And what I do is when I go into places, I just bring extra high, nice energy to people, and I smile and I just talk to them more and just loosen them up because they're so like polarized almost in their job because maybe their boss is being hard on them and everything. You know, they got a lot going on in their lives, and it's like just bring that positivity. And honestly, like people just like, okay, hey, you know what I mean? Like,
I gotta review all of like I think the original Constitution only had 10 and everything else was added then after. But I'm pretty sure everything past number 10, free market would have taken care of that. Like you don't need that. Like we have a constitution to like the amendment, like what the 18th Amendment, like made alcohol illegal, but then they had to make the 19th Amendment to make it legal again. Like just take off the guy. Like this should not have been a part of the Constitution. Like this is the retardedness, right? So I think everything else, like the amendment, you know, you can't have slavery. Again, free market has taken care of that. Like if I was making a new constitution, I wouldn't have that. Free market has taken care of that. That's not coming back. Well, not in the old form anyway. The current form it is like a financial slavery.
That is where I can offer a bit of I mean, maybe a little bit of a different perspective. Is that I don't think we should still be living our life based on rules that were written, you know, in the 1700s, like when the guns were. You had to take 5 minutes to pack them up before you could shoot them. The laws written in those days, you know, when their main motivation was to keep the crown from imprisoning them and to keep their guns to themselves. I think a lot of the laws that were written for the right reasons and were very good structure to build a country on. But at a certain point, I mean, in 500 years, are we still going to be using the same constitution? I feel like it really is getting to the point where instead of having a law about slavery, it's about banning people on Twitter. Like we live in such a different environment that I do think that upholding the Constitution is tremendously important, but that potentially there could be a better set of rules. The whole
Coinbase is going fast.
So right here, I would potentially take a knife catch.
Yeah.
Here's where I would be having orders set to buy with a stop loss at 33.5. So this is where I do kind of, I don't say I catch falling knives because I buy support in bull trends. If it's a bear trend and there's a big crash, that's what I kind of more consider a falling knife. This is a spot where I would be having orders set to buy support, and if support doesn't hold, then I'm just going to take my little loss, and the risk reward is going to be.
And on a 10-minute, we still need like another hour for the MRI to show you something. But on a 5-minute, we could be coming up on an MRI buy right now, or it was last candle. It was last candle.
That, and this is an area of support and MSR. That little median.
The sell-side order book is getting pretty thin on Coinbase right now, and the longs are coming in right now.
I would be looking.
36.5 is looks really good.
Yeah, it does. Like I think there is a potential buying opportunity here. Normally, I would say this thing is ripe to go down because we just broke the previous low. But there is a little special case here. The previous low was an extension low, so this is not a true low. This low really should have come in much higher over here, and now this break is the real break to me. This is the real break drop, and if it gets any lower, that's now overextended to the downside, similar to this. Now, how high can we go up from here? I don't know, but I do think if you're a short-term trader on the 10-minute chart, there could be a buying opportunity right here that could turn into something a little more sustainable right into the 50-period moving average on the 1-hour chart, which is all the way back up in the 39.5 range.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that this is just, you know, I'm always thinking about risk reward, and this is a spot where the risk reward is good. The trend's intact, the structure's intact, and we're getting that dip. And this is where I'd be going ahead and going in and looking to trim if we do get a little bounce up. And then if it continues through, having 70% of the exposure or so to hold on to. And if I, you know, end up taking a loss, and then so be it. The trend is in favor, and the risk reward is definitely in favor.
Now, keep in mind, most likely we are going to go lower into that 33, 34 range.
And if that would happen there, I would hope to have trimmed 30% and then get stopped out and basically be break even after all the fees and whatnot. So very much could see that happening. But if this holds here, I would look for a higher low off of the 200 as it continues to progress up, like we saw right back in here.
Oh, they can't see your finger, but I can do this.
Yeah, so we had that support. We did have some resistance, but then it was a higher low instead of a lower low.
Right.
So that's where I would be getting stopped out on the lower low.
But I still think we're due for a lower low here.
Very well could be in the cards.
Only mostly because of the daily chart, and man, this called it on the money. Holy shit!
And this is a big area of support here with notice these wicks, the lows there, and that close there. That horizontal would be.
I'm not expecting one of these wicks. I'm not expecting this to rally up. I am expecting this to go lower over the next few days. But if this could go low enough in one day that we kind of start to go up from there, but there is a price target and a time target, and the time target is very flexible. The time target, I mean, one day is enough.
Absolutely. So that will be.
This is a much needed correction. It's actually a good thing, guys. Don't see this as a bad thing. See it as a good thing. And if you understand the MRI, you would have been prepared 100%.
Can we draw a trend line right in here?
Yeah. Probably just extend this line.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a gift, this dip right here for today, especially because, I mean, with GBTC on Monday morning. And
oh, if it crashes Monday, I may even be buying on Monday.
Yeah.
I didn't get to sell out of GBTC, but I got some dry powder I can use to go back in.
Cool. Horizontal there. We could see a throwback to retest prior.
Right. Well, that's why this is drawn here.
Yeah,
it's kind of
like
off
that.
of this horizontal.
I like that. So yeah, that trend line holding would definitely be important for me there, and will be interesting to see what happens. If it is something I've been hearing a lot of people waiting for, when's the dip coming, and then if everybody's,
I can loosen this trend line up a little bit.
You could for sure.
Doesn't damage my trend line.
Yeah. I like that. So there's plenty of room here for a dip to potentially provide an opportunity, or if you're already in, to be looking for more confirmation to use to take some profit. That's what I'm gonna be doing myself. Never trying to catch the exact tops and bottoms, just trying to hold on.
Hey, but I drew that arrow pretty good so far.
Yep, and that's what I love seeing, is that horizontal lining up with the moving averages.
Yeah, because look, this came right into your beach.
Yeah.
And along with my support line and the 200 period moving average. Close enough. That's
Absolutely.
A close enough. Like I count that as a touch.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a big area of support. And if it gets that close and doesn't actually touch, it's almost a little front running. But we'll have to see. That's where I would be looking for tones horizontal there to absolutely hold, and then my moving averages to continue progressing up. And
now,
by the way, predicted funding rate is going to be at 0.3 now on BitMEX.
for 8 hours, perfect.
yeah, look at that. It's still going through the roof. People are buying in. This is a very bearish sign.
Yeah, I don't like seeing that spike like the
That
price
is on a
going down.
1 hour chart, and as the price is crashing, you saw a big drop there. This is definitely it. We're gonna reevaluate this point, but this is still favoring the bears.
I do not like seeing funding rates spike as a dip comes in. It tells me there's weak hands buying the dip, and that's not something I want to see. I want to see the funding rates reset to zero as we dip, as weak hands get shaken out. So I don't like seeing that, but
it does look better on Bybit, I will say. The Bybit funding is a lot better.
okay, that's good to know. I'll have to.
Yeah, guys, if those that are interested in the MRI, and I'm gonna, I guess, pump Socrates' website as well. Those that are interested in the MRI, you have to go to my website. Read the decentralization article to understand shitcoins. But after that, you can head over to products and services, MRI indicator. This is the info. You can also check out the the on-demand videos. And is it Socrates.com?
Yep, that's right.
Constitution. Should probably leave that up for everyone. Dan Larimer exiting his scam. So Socrates.com.
Perfect. I appreciate it.
All right. So here is Socrates' MSR indicator that I was using on that hourly chart. I do understand it. I've taken his workshop on that. And
And just to give a little bit of information, there's two versions. There's an investor mode and a trader mode. The investor mode being for people who are more looking to trade very minimally, like getting one signal every 6 weeks or so. And the trader mode is going to be for people who are looking to more actively buy into dips and take profit on the bounces. And if you could do me a favor and go back to the 4 hour, I'd like to just kind of show off the recent signal that we got. I mentioned being long from 9,000 here. And if we,
yep, spiking on a 4 hour too.
Oof. So yeah, if we can just kind of zoom back out to where it was around 9, the last investor mode,
I'm not in log mode,
signal to go long was when this started to trend in the bullish direction there. So yeah, back down around 9, even a little bit further back. Yep, a little bit further back. A little bit further back.
Further back.
Yeah. So yes, it would be right here before this consolidation was when we had this flip, the red on top, that's our bear trend. And then it flipped to bullish right around 9,000 or so, right in there. And since then it has stayed bullish and kept us long. So that's what the biggest thing that I use this for is to help me stay long through these big parabolic moves when it's
right. And it came close to flipping again right here.
Very close, very close. And
but it did not flip, and we've stayed that way ever since. So we're not close to flipping at all.
Not even close. So this is a spot where for people who are looking longer term, 6, 12 month, 18 month, this is still in a very healthy structure and plenty of room to dip back down. But for those that are looking to more actively trade, you may not be wanting to hold down to a $28,000 correction. So it's very, very important to understand your time horizon and what you're trying to accomplish, because if you are really trying to hold on to Bitcoin to 100,000, but you're not feeling comfortable holding on a dip down to 24 right now, then that means there's something really wrong with your objective and your time horizon that will really prevent you from making good money long term. So when I talk about wide stop losses, that's because I'm looking for long-term moves. And so that's just one thing that I wanted to clarify there, is that this is going to be a big help for me to stay in the trend when it's moving and to keep me in the trend during the major corrections that aren't reversals.
All right, and I want to point something out. These arrows, these are my annotations, not Socrates' MSR. And if you look, you will see a pullback to 34. Now, I just drew this red arrow. This arrow was drawn, days earlier. And I didn't realize that now it looks like I'm calling for a double bottom, which I never will. So what you guys have to understand is that if we correct to 34 this week, I will remove this. If we correct to 34 this week, I will then draw this arrow to here. And then this alters everything going forward. So my view was that we would potentially top in the 45 range before the 34 correction. If we correct to 34 now, I don't expect this to happen. We then go to 60, and then we may go to 20 or 30, and then set up for 100 and then 250, which would make the hyperwave work.
Absolutely. And that's to bring it back around with what we talked about at the top of the hour was this correction here for both me and Tone is starting to make us inclined to increase the targets for a following bounce. And
but we're also now lower than, I did this on the hourly chart, I believe.
All right.
So on the hourly chart, this has now gone a little bit lower, and we are both concerned because of the way people are trading.
Yes, that funding rate is definitely.
But I'm still going to stick with this because the hour is not over yet, and we can certainly pull back more. Like I'm going to wait for the hourly close.
Absolutely, and this is where
because look, the RSI has just got into oversold. It has the lowest it's been in forever. It's the lowest RSI reading. It's the hourly chart. It's the lowest reading we've had in months.
Yeah.
Go here. It's the lowest reading we've had since
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, since Thanksgiving. And this is still bullish, a lot of bullish metrics. Anyway, guys, hey, we've done the stream long enough. I think it's time to get going. I want to watch the end of the football game. It's a close game. We got 7 minutes to go. We're going to enjoy football and stop the screen share. Hey, thank you guys for watching. We got a bunch of more people in the house now. Some people are going to drive and find the house. We are in Miramar. This is it, our last night here. I'm off to Houston tomorrow. And then Austin the day after. I already got a ride from Houston to Austin. Thank you so much. I don't want to drop names. I also got someone in Houston that's going to put me up in Houston for a night. Probably do dinner. I don't know. Maybe I'll tweet out. Maybe there'll be like 2 seats at dinner or something. But please don't. I just wait for my tweet. I can't keep up with everything. Trying to keep up with what's going on and with the politics as well. But yeah, tomorrow night I'm in Houston. After that, I'm in Austin the rest of the week. And after that, we'll see. Either may have to go back to Washington, go back to Florida. But that's either go to Washington for political reasons to save the country, or Florida or Mexico or maybe Brazil if it's still open. But I'm certainly ain't going to any state that's controlled by a straight up Democrat, socialist, borderline communist that forces me to wear a mask to go to the bathroom in my own house. So so I'm not going there. So that means no Vegas, no New York, no California. None of that nonsense. They're not getting any of my money as I spend it around trying to go get a steak. All right, guys. Thank you all for watching and see you all